Reality star Todd Chrisley is stating that he and his wife, Julie Chrisley, were not convicted by a jury of his peers. They were sentenced to a total of 19 years behind bars, with him to serve 12 and Julie to serve 7. The couple has since been pardoned and released. But what does Todd have to say about the conviction? Keep reading for more details. When Todd Chrisley was released from prison after serving just over 2 years, he made it clear that he had done nothing wrong. He appeared at a press conference with his lawyer and his daughter, Savannah Chrisley. Some wondered if he would take any accountability for his crimes. He maintained that he and his wife, Julie Chrisley, had been wrongly convicted. More so, they were not going to apologize for something out of their control. Now he has continued to speak up and out and is sharing who really convicted the duo. Along with Julie and Savannah, Todd appeared in an interview with Juju Chang. She mentioned how a jury of their peers had convicted them, and some feel they did not serve their time. That baffled him, as he did not feel that it was an accurate statement. He claimed that he did not see people in similar positions, such as multimillionaires and those in the film industry. Rather, he saw a jury made up of people from a heavily Democratic county. Therefore, they were not Todd's peers or those who had been in his shoes. Upon his release, Todd Chrisley stated that it was somewhat of a witch hunt. Moreover, he believed that he and his family were unfairly targeted. Yet, after he stated that it was not a jury of his peers and challenged Juju Chang, followers were stunned. They could not believe how he was reacting and how he still refused to be humble. Viewers have long followed the Chrisley family, as they have long had their own reality series. They also have had various different ventures, with everything coming to a head in 2022. By January 2023, Julie and Todd Chrisley headed to their respective prisons. They were then pardoned in May 2025, and fans feel that Todd needs to take it down a notch. His attitude left little to be desired, and those who saw his interview with Juju Chang had a lot to say. Some could not understand what a political affiliation had to do with his conviction. If he and his wife had done something wrong, politics should have stayed out of it. Unfortunately, Todd Chrisley does not feel that way, and he has made it very clear. Hopefully, he can see some of what fans have been saying and take it in for the better. Are you shocked at what Todd said about the jury, and do you think any of this is accurate? More so, did his peers convict him, or is he spot on with his assessment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. A hush settled over the mansion's grand foyer as the statements reverberated through the vaulted ceiling. In that moment, walls seemed to breathe in the tension. He conveyed that no jury of their peers had reached a verdict. That nuance, the semantics of legal authority, became an anchor for something ripple-wide. A message that transcendence could be found in labeling the experience as fundamentally unjust. In that house, where laughter often echoed, where pride and family legacy filled every room, a shadow had entered. The family sat in proximity yet apart, each contemplating the gravity of the claim. The announcement that there had been no jury verdict, no deliberate sign-off from people of similar station, persisted like a chord resonating beyond its strike. It reframed reality, challenging assumptions and demanding attention. In moments following, he maneuvered through emblematic spaces of wealth. The marble staircase, the sweeping courtyard, the polished dining hall. There, the assertion could be heard in the hush of footsteps among opulent rugs. The narrative, reframed by that legal boundary, hung between family lore and public perception. For him, that had to matter more than public scrawlings or newsprint. A nearby mantel held framed photos of smiling children. It stood witness to the emotional gravity of the pronouncement. For him, the absence of a jury verdict amplified personal identity. It mattered more than any jail cell. It reframed the entire saga not simply as a legal proceeding, but as an existential matter. Wronged, mischaracterized, not judged by equals. That shift offered relief from self-doubt and absorbed a truth otherwise difficult to articulate. Photography lined the hallway, glimpses of generational confidence, of weddings and graduations, powerful symbols of rooting amid fame. The assertion that there was no jury verdict made those symbols breathe with renewed clarity. In that world of curated storytelling, that statement served as an anchor to authenticity. He sought to steer attention away from courtroom theatrics toward a correction of narrative drift. Outside, a winter breeze rattled shutters. Through frost-lined windows, distant figures moved, city lights, reporters, cameras. From inside, it felt alien, even hostile. The assertion grew in contrast, no jury verdict from peers. It conjured disbelief toward sensationalism. He leaned on the phrase as a counterweight to public outcry, exalting legal detail as refuge from raw media storm. Elsewhere, living rooms with plush couches and engraved wood tables became stages for contemplation. On them lay open books, legal pads, notes in neat columns. That phrase, focus on the Constitution, focus on justice, seemed scribbled in margin. They served not as decoration but signifiers of persistent clarity, of an insistence that truth lay beyond headlines. Few understand how deeply this shaped the family's collective mind. For a married couple who had woven business deals and building projects together, the claim offered solidarity. It sealed partnership against adversity. The deeper message, not convicted by peers, it beckoned toward communal realignment, someone who believes that only a jury of equals can deliver meaning. He held onto it like a talisman, the phrase surfacing in interviews not about guilt or innocence, but about legitimacy of process. The claim was never mere technicality. It became a cornerstone of moral argument. It framed a movement toward redemption rooted in misunderstood truths. Through glass doors, the swimming pool lay still beneath moonlight, its calm surface reflecting palms and pillars. The phrase hovered, no jury verdict. It called forth images of stability prevailing despite challenges. In that palace of wealth, that phrase became unblinking witness that what happened in courtrooms and in headlines were misaligned. The undercurrent of frustration shimmered like moonlight on water. A music room displayed a grand piano and framed gold records. There, the sentiment gained texture. It wasn't only about law, it was also about legacy, voice, belonging. He harnessed the abstract power of words to suggest that this saga did not undermine their identity. Quite the opposite. It reaffirmed it. A statement of process became a statement of values. Images of congregation gatherings, Sunday services, prayers in candlelight. They cast a spiritual frame around the idea, not being convicted by peers felt. In that context, like an affirmation that their reputation remained intact in the eyes that mattered, both divine and familial. That became the emotional pivot. The phrase slipped between scripture and personal testimony. In a home office, lined with leather-bound law volumes, the phrase reoccurred in internal memoranda. It was repeated not to lawyers only, but to staff, to family members, to close confidants. The refrain, reliance on constitutionally mandated process, reliance on peers, reliance on fairness, none of which referenced public verdict about guilt or innocence, but all of which sustained them emotionally. He seemed to measure every question, every media inquiry, against that litmus. Was this judged by my peers? By insisting it was not, he positioned the audience into that category, similarly situated, similarly skeptical of elite forces. It became inclusive. He was drawing them into complicity, offering them the chance to resist the dominant narrative. On a sprawling veranda, with heaters pushing out artificial warmth, he paced in solitude. The phrase hung unspoken in the cold air. From other rooms, children's laughter provided dissonance, an affirmation of life, of future. That juxtaposition magnified the old-fashioned idea of peer jury as instrument of legacy. He used it to anchor generational resilience. A staircase led upward to bedrooms where memories lay thick. Yellowed letters, plush toys, frames that captured midsummers. Within that domestic gallery, the phrase intensified. It stood as testimony to perceived injustice. The architecture of the home mirrored that personal architecture, every space reinforcing identity, every point reinforcing family. When the story landed, newspapers and cable networks dissected every word. Yet again the phrase surfaced, the absence of conviction by peers. It became obvious that he amplified that distinction over countless other elements. Because to argue innocence is one thing, to insist the process had been bypassed was another. It spoke to epistemology. How do we know what we know? By whom was it decided? In the library, the family's attorney assembled files, motions, transcripts, judicial filings. The phrase was at the top of annotated lists. No jury verdict remained the filter through which all actions flowed. Appeals, public statements, redemption narratives, even future solace. It animated legal strategy and moral posture alike. Outside, night deepened. The mansion stood against inflamed skies tinged by city glow. That glow contrasted with internal warmth. That phrase, repeated as gentle mantra, contrasted with external glare. Through thunderstorms of media meltdown, it offered centering. It elicited calm in a state otherwise fractured.